Bitcoin has seen a slight recovery as prices are above $61,000. What is going to happen next? I think the move might shock a lot of people. Is it going to be to the upside or to the downside? We'll have that discussion today. Also, negative ETF flows have officially been broken. Are we going to start seeing massive inflows into the Bitcoin ETF yet again? Some Ethereum ETF update as July 2nd is looking like the launch date of the Ethereum spot ETF. What sort of volume are the brightest minds in our space expecting to see? And is Ethereum at $3,360 a good pickup? We'll have that conversation. Another celebrity got hacked. Why you shouldn't be giving your money to celebrity and their coins, and why meme coins could potentially drive the next market cycle up to new highs. We're going to talk about Deutsche Bank and who they partnered with. XRP, some potential bearish news for price action. We'll talk about that. And Gary Gensler. He was at a conference speaking, and he was mocked and laughed at in the audience. Very interesting video clips we want to show you. With that being said, got a lot to talk about today. Let's not waste any time. Let's get started.
It's your boy Big Rob back in the house. Welcome to Sin City Crypto. If it's your first time checking us out, we're the entertainment-focused cryptocurrency channel. We take old, boring, and stale information and repackage that whole thing up in a fun and sexy way. Bitcoin, 60K, still holding
61.
Well, it's solid at it's barely there. I had a little spill off. We had some news. U.S. government hates Bitcoin.
NATO hates Bitcoin, right? Because you guys covered this yesterday. Germany selling. You know who's not selling? El Salvador's not. They're buying.
We're not selling either. We're all in. That's right.
Give a shout out to Rocco looking real dapper on Monday.
Yeah, he was looking fresh.
I was a little jealous,
Hey,
man.
guys.
I'm not gonna lie. A little jealous.
There we go. It's time to upgrade.
Me or you? Oh, you're back to the shirt.
See, you got a little sun there, brother.
Dude, I so burnt. We decided to go to the beach the day before going to the water park. Not a very good idea, as all the slides were burning our backs. It was not good.
Yeah, you leveraged the sun, I see. All right.
Yes, 100x leverage, and it didn't.
You
got
went
liquidated.
2x. Water park and
And I got liquidated. My back got liquidated. Let's talk about the ETF flows here for a second. So looking at from Farside, yesterday's flows, Fidelity finally broke a 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 consecutive days of outflows. Finally, we saw some inflows of 48.8 million from Fidelity. BlackRock, Goose Egg for the third straight day. 15.2 million flowing into Bitwise, 6.2 million flowing out of ARK. Grayscale continued selling. Going back to June 7th, it's been nothing but outflows for Grayscale. $30.3 million, bringing our net total to positive $31 million of inflows for Bitcoin ETFs. Take a look here from CoinShares, flows by asset. This is over the last week. 630 million flowed out. But if you look at month to date, so in June so far, we're still positive 725 million. 58 million flowed out of Ethereum last week. 98 million flowed into the multi-asset. And the only one up here, well, there's two up here, Solana and Litecoin saw inflows. Everything else was either null or outflows. But you look at AUM for Bitcoin, still over $70 billion. AUM for Ethereum, $14.7 billion. And so, in the very short term, it might not look good. We talk about outflows, but in the long term, we still got to, again, zoom out. We all got to zoom out, see what's happening. People are still accumulating BTC. I want to share this headline here from Unchained. Historically, a falling Bitcoin price in June means a double-digit gain in July. We take a look here from CoinGlass. We take a look. Now, June has typically been a pretty bearish month, right? The average return we get is in the red, right? Negative. And that is one of only 2 months. This includes September. So June and September are the only months where we see average negative for the price. But look at July. The average is around 8%. We take a look at now. They work inverse to each other, June and July, right? So in 2023, we saw a green June, a red July. In 2022, we saw Bitcoin draw down 37% in June, turn around and gain 16.8% in July. 2021, July, 18% gains. 2020, July, 24% gains. 2017, 8 and 10. What will we see in July? Now, the one thing that we can look at that we didn't have past cycles is that Ethereum ETF. Is that going to take some eyes and some hype off of Bitcoin? Do you think we're going to see double-digit gains in July? Historically looking, that is what we've seen. We take a look at price action for BTC. Been pretty boring, big spill-off, consolidation. But we're at that 61,000 level. Very important that 60K held, only a wick down to around $58,000. But the very next day, we printed a green candle up to 62K on a wick. So, Robin, are you in the camp of double-digit gains in July, or do you think we're going to see more downside for the price of BTC?
Yeah, I think it's pretty interesting that you showed that you had one green followed by red, red followed by green, and well, we
Like a
had
traffic light, right?
Yeah, there you go. So you had the red month here in June. What will we have in July? I do think that we are trending up and to the right. I'm very, very bullish on the next few months, and it's just because of the general direction of the market and the fact that we consolidated at $60,000 for 3 months, and we know what happens when you get these long-term consolidations in these price channels. We saw it back when it was at $20,000, shot up pretty quickly to 40, and then from 40,000 to 60. You had these long consolidations before essentially a big breakout, and we're right around that same range, that same time. And I think that it's coming within the next couple of weeks. I know we were talking about this prior to the show, and I'm like, man, we are about to get an explosion. Maybe it's not by the end of the week. Maybe it's not by Friday or Saturday, but I do think that within the next, I'd say 2 to 3 weeks, we should be back above 65,000. I think that we will be reclaiming that $70,000 mark, or at least testing it within the next 30 days. That I am very, very confident in that. And just don't forget, we are in the early stages of a bull market. What happens to in a bull market? You move up and to the right with pullbacks. We had a pullback. What happens after a pullback? You continue on, and that's the exact direction.
We're not even at a 20% pullback. Like, people are freaking out. You guys understand that in the last cycle, we saw multiple 30% pullbacks in a bull market. And we haven't even seen a 20% pullback. This last move wasn't even 20%. And so we're on par with what's happening. It's, for me, very bullish that 60K is held. Now, if we go below 54, I was watching the show yesterday on my drive home. Magic was talking about 48. Let me tell you something. There is enough people now versus previous cycles that see the value of Bitcoin, think the macro environment is screwed up enough and is going in the wrong direction, to enough people are going to say, okay, well, maybe I need to get some type of hedge exposure to a commodity asset like gold, Bitcoin, silver. You have that going for it as well. And you finally have the instrument available for these people to do it. And that is a spot ETF. You shared this yesterday, Morgan Stanley. Over how many customers do they have? 2 million customers, $1.4 trillion that they manage. Now, like, what you guys gotta understand is this, is a spot ETF that's been available. These companies, these asset managers, they haven't even given access to the average person yet. It's just been high net worth individuals and hedge funds. So that is why you're seeing a lot of fluctuation in inflows and outflows. You have people going long on the spot ETF, shorting the futures and making the money on the arbitrage in the middle. That's what they're doing. So they're selling and they're buying. Once the person who's maybe's got $200,000 in their 401k. My mother-in-law has got $250,000 in her 401k. She's been waiting to get some exposure to Bitcoin. How many of those people are there? So those people are finally going to start getting access to the spot ETFs. Morgan Stanley's the first one. We're going to see more and more. We've seen the success of the ETF. BlackRock became the largest institutional holder of Bitcoin in 3 months. And they didn't spend a single dime of their own money. It was all client money. And so we're so early. Long term, there is absolutely zero reason to be bearish on Bitcoin. Now, in the short term, I do think we have a little more downside. I think we're going to chop, spill off, chop, spill off. But when that move comes to the upside, you've got to understand miners have been selling at a fast rate. We have this here. Bitcoin falls after U.S. sends 4,000 Bitcoin worth $240 million from the Silk Road seizure to Coinbase. Germany's been selling. We have the Mt. Gox thing. I think a lot of people are trying to front run it, sell off. I don't think the Mt. Gox thing is going to have that big of an impact. Now, the OTC desks for Bitcoin has grown, but the miners are essentially, they're not completely out, but they're pretty much dry on Bitcoin they had aside. And now it's not like they're mining 900 a day. They're only mining 450 a day. So that sell pressure should subside. Once retail starts getting access to the Bitcoin ETF, we should start seeing the flows go up again and just a natural ebbs and flows of the market. You should not be bearish on Bitcoin long term. I don't understand.
Yeah, you mentioned Morgan Stanley. When it comes to retirement, who is already retired? Well, it's the boomers. And so the next wave of the working class to retire, millennials, and well, you know that
we got Gen X.
Gen X, but millennials are the ones that are kind of trying to decide the roadmap for, hey, how am I gonna live off of the money I make now in retirement? And so the people that are planning and structuring their retirement are people that are in their 30s, right? And you're making a decent salary, probably enough to live comfortably, but more than likely, a lot of people are underwater. They know that they're screwed long term. And how the hell are you supposed to save for the future where you can barely get by in the present? And so I think that what people are going to start realizing is like, hey, I need to maximize my gains when it comes to my retirement portfolio. This 401k is just moving too slow. What am I going to have? I'm going to have $500,000 when I retire. How long is that going to last? What, 3 years?
Bro, they're
5
saying you
years?
need now they're saying you need $3 million to retire.
That's what I'm saying. But when the boomers were putting away, $500,000 was the target. And now that bar is pretty damn high. So if you haven't been aggressively putting away for your retirement, you're just kind of starting now and you're in your 30s, you're going to need to maximize some gains. So I think that there's going to be a lot of people out there interested in saying, hey, I need larger returns. And I think that you don't even need to take on much risk. I mean, in investing in Bitcoin, as far as a buy now and set it aside for the future 10, 12 years from now, you're not even really taking any risk unless the network goes down or Satoshi comes back from life and fucking zombie chains this whole thing down to zero somehow, which is all impractical, will never happen realistically. And so a safe investment with returns that are around 150% annualized, if you include the drawdowns. And so from a retirement perspective, it seems like a no-brainer. And I think that these younger progressive people that are just now trying to put away from their retirement, doing the math and saying, hey, I need more money. Where can I bring in more returns? I think an easy and go-to obvious no-brainer answer is the Bitcoin, right? Bitcoin ETF. And it's not even going to be just the people walking into the office saying, hey, man, can you give me exposure to Bitcoin? I think they're going to walk in and be like, hey, man, these numbers ain't adding up. I need more returns. And I think that the financial advisors for these places are going to be like, hey, man, okay, have you thought about Bitcoin?
I think you bring up such a good point, right? My thesis of why meme coins are going to continue to be popular is because people have this lottery mentality, right? People are in this rat race. They're barely struggling. You're surviving. There's people that make $100,000 a year that are living paycheck to paycheck. That's insane. And so what is going to happen is people are going to see like, oh my God, inflation, everything's becoming expensive. Social Security is going to run out. And I agree with you 100%. What other asset is going to give you those kind of gains? It is no longer put it in the S&P for 30 years, earn 8% and you're fine. Inflation's at 5%. You look at some sectors like car insurance, food, it's in the double digits. Do not sit there and tell me that grocery prices are not up only 3-4%.
There's a general consensus that the real inflation or true inflation is around 12%. And so, if you're not, maybe it's a little less, maybe it's even a little more, but if you're not around 10%, you're not making 10% more money every year or putting away money that in the long term will return enough money to compensate for 10% a year, right? So, the 10% a year, that inflation is also compounding, right? And so if you're making less money this year and then you're making less money next year and less money next year, at the end of 20 years, by the end of the time that you retire, you're not going to have enough to get by. And so everyone sees it. Everyone, you see it you talk to teenagers and they're like, hey man, how am I supposed to get an apartment? I can't afford a car. Everyone realizes that the future is screwed. And so if you want any chance of a retirement to live comfortably when you're in your 50s, you got to start aggressively attacking this retirement now, because the days of work 20 years and put away in a 401k and
let either a pension or the Social Security take care of you. I think those days are.
Yeah, pension, Social Security, and 401k. You put the three together, work 20 years, not enough.
Yeah.
Or you're in one of those like rundown elderly homes and the rough part of the neighborhood where you're paying that $900 a month. And you're in some tiny little shacked up apartment complex.
Can you imagine working
and then you're taking the bus, man?
Can you imagine working 50 years and finally when you're done working, that's your retirement? Like, that is sad. Doesn't have to be that way. We have options now. And you also got to remember, Social Security is going to run out of money. It's going to run out of money. If they don't run out of money, guess the only way to do it is to print money, which is going to cause inflation, which is going to make the money worth less. And so if you take a look at the numbers, 50 years ago, when the baby boomers were still in their working prime years, for every one person taking Social Security, there was over 40 people paying into it. Now that number, for every one person that gets Social Security, there's only 2 or 3 people that are paying into it. And that number is only going to shrink, meaning that when you watching, if you're under the age of 50, you're probably going to not have Social Security.
They're going to have Social Security. I still believe that. But what you will have is that the program will be underfunded. It won't be enough. And the government will simply print enough money to fill the gap for the next generation. It's no different than saying, hey, we're going to raise the debt ceiling, right? Like, hey, we're running out of money. We're not going to have any money. We can't fund our programs. And then at the stroke of midnight, they raise the debt ceiling. They take on more debt. They open up a second credit card to pay the first. And that's what the government does best. And I have zero doubt that when the voters are over here about to run out of their Social Security, and these people, the elected officials that are leaning on these voters, because who votes realistically? The strong majority of the voting community is the elderly people. I mean, look no further than in Florida, where they got a lot of retirement. Everyone shows up to the polls there. And so take away Social Security from the elderly and you'll see what happens to your reelection campaign. It will just not happen. So I think the government's going to do what they do best, and they do with all the rest, is simply just print this thing and worry about it later. We'll screw the future and just deal with it now, right? That's the mentality. That's why we need to figure out an exit strategy. We need to get out of the situation that we're in, and having some Bitcoin set aside, DCA, even if it's not Bitcoin, Ethereum, Solana, something, man, that just protect your future. Put away now, because your money's not gonna be worth anything later, or at least not. It'll be worth a fraction of what it is now. So.
I'll give a shout out to my boy Mario in the chat. What's up, Mario? Also, Rajal said Bitcoin is a money game and said it's a Ponzi. I think everything's a Ponzi. Right?
No, I mean, here's the thing. Everything is priced. Everything
is worth what the next person's willing to pay.
No. What the thing is that everything is priced in dollars, right? Or everything's priced in fiat, and we just keep printing more of it. So everything will go up. That's pretty simple, all right? Gas goes up, food goes up. What goes down? Nothing goes down.
It goes down in the club.
Nothing goes down, right? Nothing goes down in price. So everything in the markets go up. And sometimes they go up faster than they should, right? You see all of a sudden gas prices shoot up. What happens? They get overinflated and then they come down, also known as a bubble. The housing market does it. Every single market does it, including crypto. So you know what? You print 2-3 times more money than we have now. Well, guess what? Everything's going to go up in price. And if something goes up in price too fast, it'll correct and come back down. But over the long term, you zoom out, everything's going to go up and to the right. S&P 500 is never going to stop going up, right? S&P 500 is always going to break new all-time highs. Bitcoin is always going to break new all-time highs. Unless something fundamentally breaks and goes out of business, then at that point, that is something that, hey, it's, a Ponzi scheme is essentially going to be something that everyone exits and it fails, right? Doesn't matter. You know what? You can sell 90% of the Bitcoin. It'll people will come back and buy it afterwards, right? And so I don't agree with this Ponzi scheme thing. I think that if you're saying that a commodity is a Ponzi scheme, well, so is oil, right? So is gold. Gold's a Ponzi scheme. Keeps going up in price. It's insane, right?
I'm pretty sure he was being sarcastic, but who knows?
I know.
Who knows these days? But it's not sarcastic is our channel sponsor, Radix. Today's show is brought to you by Radix, one of the top layer 1 DeFi protocols in the space. Great team building. Their TVL is going up. They got a lot of things going on in their ecosystem. If you want to learn more about Radix and what they're doing to make DeFi better, click the link in the description of this video. And shout out to all of you who support this channel. We appreciate you. Now, do you remember, Robin, this is a couple years ago. We were both driving. You called me and say, hey, did you see that executive order from Joe Biden?
Yeah.
How bullish were you?
Well, bullish, yeah.
What if I told you that the person who co-authored that is now back in the White House? None other than Carol House. So Biden administration brings back past crypto advisor Carol House. She served as the NSC's Director of Cybersecurity and Secure Digital Innovation from April 2021 to June 2022. She also held positions at the New York Department of Financial Services, CFTC Treasury, and various companies. She has repeatedly expressed mixed sentiment about crypto. And again, she is also the co-author of the Biden executive order related to crypto. It's very clear that crypto is a top topic, a top focus for both sides of the aisle. And if there's been ever a bipartisan issue, right, or a nonpartisan issue, I think that's the word we want to use here, a nonpartisan issue, I think is Bitcoin and crypto. You see from both sides of the political arena that are in favor of or opposed against it, right? But it's not just one side, although the voting does come down to that sometimes. But I think you can look on both sides of the aisle and see there's people that are very bullish on both sides. There's also people that are bearish, but you cannot fade the fact that crypto was at the forefront of this election. The debate is tomorrow. The first presidential debate is tomorrow. You better believe that crypto will be one, if not crypto, maybe CBDCs or something related to blockchain will be the topic of one of the questions that is asked. And just watch the two candidates, watch Biden and watch Trump fumble over each other, step over each other, trying to portray themselves as being the pro-crypto president. It's going to be very amusing to watch.
Okay. Are you confident there will be a crypto question asked?
Yes, I am confident.
Like how, if you had to put a percentage on
70%.
70%?
Yeah. What about you?
I kind of land there as well. Yeah.
I don't think it's 100%.
No.
But I do think it's 70%.
Here's the thing. I do think that there's genuine interest from the Trump campaign to have progressive Bitcoin and crypto regulation. I don't think it's a front. And why do I say that? And I don't think that he himself is personally bullish on crypto. I think that he sees the power of crypto's investment towards his business model and his campaign. And he knows that he can make a lot of money off of crypto, right? He's already, he has launched 3 different NFTs. His wife launched an NFT. He's campaigning on crypto. He's bringing in a ton of donations. I mean, you had the super PAC, from the crypto led one. Was it by, Fairdan? I forget the name of it, but the crypto super PAC that's run by crypto, they're at the top of donations for.
Not to mention, Robin, just individual donations. You had the Winklevoss twins, the founders of Gemini, donated $1 million each to Donald Trump's campaign, and so You know, I mean, two things, right? Two things politicians go for is vote and money, and they're getting both from the crypto community.
So do you think that Biden has any genuine interest in getting progressive crypto regulation passed, or that he wants? Not exactly. And so now all of a sudden,
I also don't buy in everything Trump is saying either. I think Trump panders, but I think all politicians pander.
Yeah.
We'll wait and see. Who would I put? Which basket would I put my eggs in? I would put him in Donald Trump's basket because, well, Joe Biden literally right now is in office. And what has he done versus what someone is saying they're going to do?
He also just vetoed the
Sob 121?
The Sob 121, which would have allowed banking institutions to custody, right? And so you could, go buy and sell Bitcoin and have it custody through the bank. It makes sense, right? Hey, the bank has financial advisors, most of the large banks, that you can go in and have your 401k, you can put away for your retirement, you have your savings account, you have your checkings account, and you can also have a gold position custodied by the bank, right? You also have your safety deposit boxes, but you can't do any services of crypto through the banks. And so that has been vetoed. That bill was proposed to, You know
how hard it is for a split Congress, right? You have the Republicans having the majority in the House and Democrats having the majority in the Senate. You know how hard it is for them to pass anything? And they finally pass something and it gets vetoed.
Thanks. Yeah, so I think that the 180 on Biden's position on crypto, he's been pretty outspoken on his social handles as far as, hey, we're going to have a meeting about Bitcoin and crypto, and we're going to accept crypto donations. And, I feel like he's doing it as
because everyone else did.
Yeah, exactly. He's not truly interested in it. That's where I'm getting at, is I think that it's more of a cause and effect or reaction to the uproar that we've seen in the crypto community and the backing that Trump has had. And you know what? If he shows up to that Bitcoin
that would be massive. The first time ever a U.S. president or former U.S. president, right?
Yeah. And you think about, how many voters are there, right? You have these rallies. The rallies are pretty much composed of your own voter base, right? That's exactly what it is. You're rallying your own voters, but you have an opportunity here to take 25, 50,000 people who, are at some point split on who they're going to vote. Maybe the majority of people would vote for Trump, but it couldn't be more than 60 or 70%. So, there's a ton of voters on the table that he can go and, speak to and maybe get more voters. We know these swing states, it's a lot of times won in less than 1,000 votes for some of these swing states. So, Florida is yet an example where we've had multiple presidential campaigns, be determined by less than 1,000 votes in the state of Florida. And so, Florida's pretty Bitcoin heavy too. That's where Miami is kind of like a hub of crypto. And
something interesting. Representative from New York, Democrat Jamal Bowman, lost his race. And we know New York, and I'm not gonna get too far into politics. I'm gonna tie this ball back into crypto. But New York historically has been very blue, right? When we talk about politically, very outspoken against crypto. And I'm not saying crypto has everything to do with him losing, but he lost. And so I think we're really starting to show these people, go against us at your own risk. And so for me, what I would want to see from the Biden administration is one thing: fire this man on the right. If you're serious about being pro-crypto, fire the dude that has literally tried to tank the entire space for the last 2.5, 3 years with his bullshit Wells notices and lawsuits. Fire him, promote Hester Peirce, or bring someone pro-crypto in there, and then we can maybe start talking about, hey, are you really pro-crypto or not? But listen to this. So he was asked whether he would potentially be the reason Biden would lose his reelection. Listen to this.
$120 trillion capital markets, and lo and behold, I made it 6 minutes and 15 seconds, and now you bring up crypto.
Other legal challenges
it gets views, it gets clicks for Bloomberg.
Well, people
He doesn't get it, man. He doesn't understand. This is the problem with the people that sit so high up in government, right? is they look down at us and they look at us as idiots, like we're peasants. Like, oh, it only gets clicks. No, we're sick and tired of your bullshit, and so we found something else that is important to us. How about you start putting some thought into that versus saying, oh yeah, we've gone 6 minutes and we bring up crypto again. There's a reason for that, and it's not because of the clicks, you moron. Let's go back to the video. Very, very. I'm not red because of my blood pressure. It's just a sunburn. Just keep that in mind.
We're interested in this, that you, Mr. Gensler, could, quote, literally cost Joe Biden the election. What's your response to this?
I'm going to be easy with you, Anne Marie. I don't speak about elections.
You don't have a response to Mr. Cuban?
I just really, look, my role as a securities regulator.
Are you surprised by the political movement we've seen around crypto?
With all respect, I hope your listeners understand. That's my role. Other people can speak about.
Okay, I got to say
The
this.
election is.
So he doesn't want to be asked any questions about crypto, right? 2023, $5 billion of fines for the SEC in totality, right? $5 billion. So the SEC issued...
In 2023?
2023, the SEC issued $5 billion in fines, right? And take a guess how much of that was in crypto.
More than 50%?
Yes, $2.89 billion. So over 50% of your fines went to crypto. And so you're trying to sit here and say it's not a big subject. And why are you covering it? How dare you bring me onto your show and you ask me a crypto question? Over 50% of your fines went to crypto companies. What sense does that make? If I'm a police officer and 50% of my tickets are involving traffic citations and speeding tickets, if I get asked a question by the judge and he's over here asking me about why am I pulling so many people over for speeding, be like, I'm tired. I'm an officer. I do more than just issue speeding tickets. No, over half of your fines or half of your tickets are speeding tickets. We want to know why. We want to know why you have that stance. Why are you doing that? Why is the SEC fining so many crypto companies? Why is that over?
But they're finding the wrong ones. That's the thing.
And then you have the nerve to go on a news publication, and when someone asks you about crypto, you throw your hands up and are like, at a gaffe. You're like, of course, you had to. Like, well, stop. If you don't want to discuss it, if you don't want to take accountability for it, stop trying to regulate it. Because you know what? If you overregulate it, we're going to come in and ask you why. And don't get all pissy when you get asked those questions. You know, nobody's asking the CFTC why about crypto, right? In a way where you're just like, hey man, like, what are you doing? Why are you doing this? What are you doing to the industry? Nobody's asking the CFTC because they're not out here finding people. They do periodically find someone, but it's few and far between, and their overall regulation has been progressive, and the SEC has done the exact opposite. They've overfined, overregulated, and are doing nothing progressive to help the industry grow.
Robin, I think the thing here is finding people. Okay, find the right people. Find FTX. Find Celsius. Find Terraform. But you're over here finding Uniswap Labs, which is a DEX, Ethereum. Insert name here of projects that are actually building and doing things in our space. So, and then I want to share one more clip from that interview as the audience laughs at Mr. Lizardman here. So,
would have filled a room much bigger than this if they were sitting on this stage or now sitting in jail or awaiting jail.
He's talking about crypto executives, okay? So let me rewind it so you have a little context. Talking about crypto executives, okay?
Would have filled a room much bigger than this if they were sitting on this stage or now sitting in jail or awaiting jail.
Part of the reason why...
I say this and you giggle, but this is a serious thing. These are a lot of folks that are not living within our securities laws.
So there you go. Some comedic relief here. Robin, have you seen this life hack?
تو کانادا یه لباسی طراحی شده که زندگی
So easy access, right? Just in case, you're out in the woods and, you need to do business. And so, Pretty cool, right? Also, if
Very
you
cool.
happen to go on a vacation, you gain some weight, maybe you need to add a little more width. What are your thoughts on this? Is this something that you would potentially wear? Or
How did we
access?
get here? We went from Gary Gensler
From Gary
to
Gensler to the splitting pen.
Well, the audience laughed, so I want our audience to laugh. So,
David, let me ask you a question, if I may. So you zip your pants, and then what? You turn apart your underwear. How are you gonna use it?
no, you put the pee-pee hole on the backside.
yeah, you reverse underwear, and then this. But I'm sure someone's working on a patent
there is an
protected
instruction.
underwear zipper too. So,
There's an
Or
instruction.
you just go no undies.
yeah, or you can go no undies. That's also great. I want to share this. So, Congressman Matt Gaetz introduces bill to allow federal income tax to be paid with Bitcoin. Now, I don't think this is going to go anywhere, but very interesting. Doesn't this mean that Bitcoin would become legal tender?
That's one aspect of being legal tender is that you can pay taxes, but it has to be payable for all debts, right? And so, as part of a legal tender for the United States, at least, it's to repay debts. You can even look at the at any of the notes in your wallet, and they'll say like legal tender for any debts or whatever it is. So, one aspect, so you need to pay debts, and with
What's a
currency-
bigger debt than income tax, Robin?
yeah, it's leaning that direction. And then also you need Congress to. At one point in time, I was kind of looking like what would Bitcoin need to do to get to become legal tender in the U.S. And it does need to go to a vote and then passed by the. It needs to be clearly defined as legal tender. Then it needs to pass both the House, Senate, and then vote, then approved and signed by the president. And then also, interestingly, a legal tender, it gives the Treasury the ability to print. And so in a historical sense, the Treasury wouldn't be printing, but maybe we'll find a scenario where the Treasury's mining Bitcoin and then issuing it out.
They're not smart enough.
And then also, if you're going to have a dual currency, you need to have the liquidity to swap in between the two. So what would that look like? Would the Federal Reserve have Bitcoin in reserves to facilitate the trade? So, I've looked into it. It's a very interesting conversation. If you were to have legal tender, we see it in El Salvador. And in the El Salvador's case, you pay taxes, but also it's required by businesses to take Bitcoin as a payment because it is legal tender. And the government has set up a system where there is liquidity, where they do hold reserves of Bitcoin, where they can move Bitcoin and dollars in between each other for general commerce. So pretty bullish, though, man. I mean, do you think that would pass?
No.
You don't think so?
Right now, no.
But the thing is they're collecting revenue. So it's not like.
But it's the same revenue. Why not? Why just collect it in dollars?
But here's the thing. Like,
You think more people are going to pay income tax because they can pay in Bitcoin? They got to pay it anyway.
I'm saying from a congressional's point of view, if that bill pops up in front of you, why would you say no to that?
Because you are voting among party lines. That's what they do. They don't read the bills.
No, but
They look at their majority leaders like, what are we doing here, guys? Good or bad? Bad. Okay. No. That's what they do. You think they actually read the bills?
that is a sad truth. But honestly, when you think about it, there's really nothing negative about it, in my opinion, right? Other than being an indictment that Bitcoin is valid and usable. My thing is if something like this were to pass, then what does that mean for tax implications? And that's kind of the big hiccup between Bitcoin being used as payment, because every time you use Bitcoin as a payment option, it creates a taxable event. So it becoming a currency or not taxed like a commodity or an investment, that's what I want to see, right? Because then at that point, hey, pay your taxes. Instead of selling Bitcoin and taking a tax hit, and then I don't know, man, maybe if something like this passed, you could save a few bucks paying taxes if you're going to sell Bitcoin to do so, right?
Yeah. I mean, it's there's nothing negative. Like you said, nothing negative. I just don't think it's going to happen.
Yeah, I don't think it's gonna pass either.
I do want to share this just to wrap up this Gary Gensler thing. So this is Brad Garlinghouse reposting that clip I just showed you about execs going to jail. Said absolute nonsense coming from Gary Gensler today, and the slander about all crypto execs going to jail from the man who completely missed FTX, wasn't even invited to the DOJ announcement about Binance. If he was really working for the American people, as he says, he would have been fired a long time ago. And then he also says Gensler will cause Biden to lose the election. Also, we had a super chat from Crickcats. Said, David looks like he listened to Ashley when it comes to applying sunscreen. Fair enough. And people asking, did you actually fire her? No, it was a joke. She's not fired. That being said, send it over to Rob. Take a look at the markets. Robin.
All right, so we have officially lost the $61,000 mark. We're at $60,993.56. Now, my concern will be the flat 60K mark. We did go back. If you go back on the 1 week, you can see that we dipped underneath 60K briefly for all of about 30, 45 minutes, and we went as far down as 58,800, and we regain that 60K mark. So are we going to go back down and test that again? Possibly. If I had to put a percentage on it, I do think that there's, say, 65% chance that we hold above 60,000. I mean, do you lean more on this 60K support being that super strong resistance that we bounce off of?
I do, and I'll tell you why. I mean, just look at that chart or look at this chart, right? You had an absolute V-shaped recovery when it hit 60K. So what does that tell you when you have a V-shaped recovery? Target got hit and buyers stepped in with velocity and pushed price right back up to 62,000. So I think we're going to see something similar, unless we start seeing.
I think what you're mentioning here is that if we're going to break under 60K, we probably go and test it maybe 2 more times, right? If all of a sudden by the end of the day we wick down to 59,000 and we bounce back up to 60. 2 days later, we're at 59,000. We bounce up to 60. At that point, then I'll say, hey, man, you know what? I would probably expect a spill off from here. It looks like we're just repeatedly testing this resistance, support line, and it looks like it's going that direction, but that's not here. And so I do think that, when you zoom out, when you take a look at the chart, you take a look at the 1 year, and it's pretty self-explanatory here. You're up and to the right. As we mentioned, we see these large consolidations for months on end. So you had from, August to October last year, 2 months, and then we went from 26,000 up to 30. And then from October to February, we had a pretty big, we had a sustained run up, but then we had this big explosion. So from 35,000 to 42,000. So you can call that a channel, I guess, but quite some time, right? 4 months. And now we're kind of in that same zone. I mean, we've been here since March, right? March to June, July, consolidating at 60K, right? We first broke into the 60K on March 1st, and it is there again. And so we're in a bull market. So we know that the trend is up and to the right. And it's been 3 months. And so I'm expecting a breakout here. Taking a look at some of the altcoins, though. So big gainers today, not slowing down. Fetch AI, SingularityNet. We have the merge coming up. I know the previous date was the 12th. Was there any news on this merge? Because I see a lot of
merge
volume.
For what? For a Fetch, it got delayed 30 days.
30 days?
30 days from the last one, which was supposed to be the 27th.
12th. I thought it was the 12th, right?
They pushed it back to the 12th. And, yeah, you're right. Yeah.
So 30 days. So it seems imminent. So there's a lot of interest here. These are both up over 20% on the week. So some very strong performance from Fetch. Also, Caspa, one of the channel favorites here, up 3% on the day, 13% on the week. Then taking a look at what is pulled back.
Real quick.
Yeah.
what's your most bullish scenario for Caspa
For
for this cycle?
You know, a lot of viewers are throwing out prices on Caspa. I think it's like our community is really strong on price prediction on Caspa.
You think $2 is crazy?
You know what? I think so. We went from 5 cents to 17 since October. I think $1.50. So 10x is kind of where I think it lands. And the reason being is I still think that the community is pretty small, right? The liquidity is few and far between, right? There's just not a lot of big name exchanges offering it. There are some to come. We're expecting one, and we were talking to the Caspa team, and they came here and said they're expecting one by the end of the year.
Top 5.
Yeah, and on top of that, they were discussing it probably would be sooner than later, and so by the end of the year, obviously that's 6 months from now, and I think it's going to be closer to the 60-day range, from my understanding. And we've also had some discussions externally with some people that are well connected into the large exchange base, and we've also pretty much got confirmation that the market for it is here. Then they're they're setting it up. They're doing the due diligence of the final steps on offering Caspa. So I wouldn't be surprised if we go tomorrow and see it, or next week. I don't think that it's going to be, oh, hey man, it's November, December, and we're still waiting. I think that's coming sooner. But regardless, even with, I think for them to get to $1.50, I think Caspa is going to need that big exchange listing. But I think that, I see people talking about $2, $3, $5 Caspa. I just don't think the community is big enough yet. I think the project is still pretty new. With that said, $1.50 is a 10x from where it is now. And I think that $2 is something that I would not be surprised to see. And, it has beautiful tokenomics. And with that said, I don't know. I'm definitely going to keep an eye on it. One of our favorite projects. Taking a look at some of the ones that we had some pullback. Arweave down 11%, Celestia down 8%, a little pullback on the based Brett token. And so send it back to you, brother.
All right. Let's talk about the Ethereum ETF, right? By the way, our video today talk about 4 altcoins that I am buying with this dip. You're going to want to watch the video. It's a really good one. So Ethereum ETF issuers are already racing to drop the fees. This includes Van Eck, Franklin Templeton. We know BlackRock, Fidelity, they're all in the game as well. And then we have Bitwise CIO Matt Hogan, who's been on our show, predicts $15 billion of inflows into the Ethereum ETF despite potential Grayscale outflows. We've had an example, right? I can't think of the word I'm trying to use, but an example of a case study with the Bitcoin ETF. Everyone was like, oh my God, bullish. And then we kind of forgot Grayscale, and damn, they sold a lot of Bitcoin. We're going to see something similar to ETH potentially, but we know, at least we don't have the selling pressure from miners as ETH is now proof of stake. We know what BlackRock is doing with Ethereum. So I think 15 billion, I was thinking closer to 10. I think the market sentiment is pretty off right now. And I think people are still trying to wrap their head. Now, if the Bitcoin ETF was a year in, retail had exposure, they're seeing the prices go up, sure. Can we see a lot more, 30, 40, 50 billion? Potentially. But I think with everything there is now, and I think a lot of that money is going to flow from the Bitcoin ETF to the Ethereum ETF versus new fresh capital rolling in. I think 15 billion, I think, is a little on the higher side. But then again, we're talking about a chief investment officer of one of the top asset managers, Bitwise. So
I think 15 billion is even a conservative.
You think
estimate.
it's conservative?
Yeah, I think that. Did he give a time frame on that 15 billion? But I think right out the gate,
first 18 months. Okay, first 18.
Yeah, man.
Okay, yeah.
Dude, I think
Context is important, right?
right out the gates. I think that they get that $1 billion, just in the same way that Bitcoin did, crossed $1 billion pretty much instantly, and I think that we get something comparable. Now, I do think that it tapers off or it loses interest faster than Bitcoin. Bitcoin had a pretty strong run for months when the ETF came out. It wasn't just a flash in the pan. Obviously, we had this sell pressure immediately on the first week, but then after that, it was net inflows on a weekly basis, right? We had some pullbacks, but it really started ramping up as that initial sell pressure started to come off, and we got a month into it, 2 months into the ETF. That's when we really saw that inflow explosion. I think that there's going to be less sell pressure from Grayscale. I know that it is there. It is a factor. I think that Grayscale's conversion, obviously there's a mismatch on the premium with Ethereum right now as far as the price and market price. But I do think that it's going to be a lot less significant than what we saw in Bitcoin. And so maybe it comes out, we get initial pump, a sell-off. We got the Grayscale effect once again. But I think that we ramp up pretty quickly. We bring in $1 billion in net inflows within the first week. And then I think within the first month, we're up to 7-8 billion. And then I think it takes a breather. I think that it kind of gets overbought initially, and then from there, some nice steady growth. Not to mention, ETH is also deflationary as it's being used, and so going into a bull market where, well, TVL, the king is Ethereum, DeFi, the king is Ethereum. Yes, there might be more active users of facilitating transactions right now or intermittently with Solana. But let's not remove the crown from ETH just yet. And I think that ETH's run is still here to come. And you know what? I think that this second half of the year is going to be ETH all day long. What do you think outperforms from this point to the end of the year? Ethereum or Solana?
Ethereum.
Yeah. I think Solana is,
I'm still very bullish on Solana, though.
yeah, Solana had an amazing run up. I mean, from $10 to 100 and what's it, 130 right now? Yeah, 130, 135. You know, it more recently got up to almost $200, or it briefly skimmed $200 back in April, and so. Yeah, I think more room to run for Solana, but I think it ran pretty hard up until this point, so it's going to take a breather. And now it's ETH's turn. I think ETH and Cardano are my two big projects that I'm looking to get exposure on this second half of the year. Throw Casper in there too. Yeah. ETH, Solana. I think if someone said, "Hey, man, I went equal parts, 33%. I threw 20 grand and I broke it up into equal parts, ETH, Cardano, and Caspa," I think you're going to 4x that within the next 6 months.
4x on ETH?
If you split up split it up, ETH,
like as a combined portfolio.
Yeah, say 33%. So what do you think? From 20,000 to 80,000 on a portfolio. Let's just say you broke it up equal parts. ETH,
5K ETH.
No.
Yeah, $5,000 ETH.
33%.
Okay,
so 6,000 some change. Yeah, $7,000 on ETH, Cardano, Caspa, and we looked at that portfolio come January. I think that $80,000 would be my expectation.
I can see that.
Yeah.
But I think that here's a twist question. Which one will be the driver of that?
I think it's all
because they're not all going to perform the exact same. Right?
I think
it's going to be a leader.
I think the biggest returns are going to be Caspa.
Really? I think it's Cardano, man.
And then I think next will be Cardano, then it'll be Ethereum. I think by the end of the year we see I think we see a $10,000 Ethereum by the end of the year. I think that we see $1.20 120 on Cardano. So we see a
3x.
We see a 3x on ETH. We see a 4x on Cardano, and then I think we see a 7x out of Caspa.
Okay.
And so $1 Caspa.
I would flop Caspa and Cardano. What's up, Rocco? What do you think?
Rostradamus have spoken.
Rob Stradamus has spoken.
Okay.
Somebody clip this and we'll revisit this at the end of the year. Okay, I do want to talk about something real quick. And, you know, we do this show and we started our channel for the community and what we have now and what we're going to have. And so I just want to share a couple things, kind of make sure you guys are aware of what the hell is happening. So meme coins, they're here to stay, right? They're showing significant gains. But then you have stuff like this, right? Metallica's X account was hacked to promote a crypto token. Let me just explain to you what 99% of these celebrity meme coins, how it goes down, okay? Meme coin is launched. You get the post on X. People go in. The price rugs. Celebrity comes and says one of two things. One, I was led down the wrong path. And there's one name that you hear, Sahil. Sahil screwed me over, but don't worry, I'm going to stay around, yada, 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 and they don't stay around. Two, they delete all the posts and they say my account got hacked. Guys, please, for the love of God, think about the last 2 years, how difficult it was. All the money you spent buying crypto and tokens and great projects and all the analysis and all the hours you watched for you to sell that or take that Solana or Ethereum and buy this garbage just because you think, oh, they have a big platform, they're going to pump the token. You're going to lose your money 99% of the time. Please, please, please don't. Just there's so much better things going on. And so another thing that's happening that we want you guys to kind of be aware of is, so Florida man convicted for violent home invasion, steal victims' Bitcoin. So they're going around, and these took place in North Carolina, Florida, Texas, New York. They figure out, hey, this person has a lot of crypto because people are on social media or whatever it is. And they're saying, hey, I know this person has a lot of Bitcoin. And if you talk about, oh, it's on my hardware wallet or it's here, people know that you have it. So they come into your house and they're like, hey, look, yeah, if you don't give us the seed phrase, then we're going to do something bad to you. So just keep some things you just keep close to you, right? You don't got to tell everyone everything, how much you got here, there, everywhere. As crypto becomes more mainstream, you're going to see more and more of this. You're going to see more and more of this garbage here. Be aware, be prepared. Don't get too overzealous. Keep some things close to your chest. Don't do anything stupid. You're about to make a lot of money. And then speaking of stupid things, 1 billion of XRP will be unlocked in July. This happens every single month, but be aware if you are in any leveraged positions on XRP, or if you're looking to scalp or get out to get back in, something to keep an eye on. Every month, 1 billion XRP tokens gets released from the Ripple Treasury Fund. So be aware of that. Any commentary you want to add to?
No.
3-4 things?
That's it, man. Yeah. Stay away from the memes.
Celebrity memes. There's some memes that
stay away from the memes in general. Oh, there's the XRP. There's
like
the XRP look.
like a buzzword for Rocco. I say XRPs. Beep.
He just crept in there. He's like, what'd you say?
It wasn't that on purpose. I pressed the wrong button, but hey, I know, XRP.
At least you didn't press the credit buttons, Ashley. So I give her so much.
Then XRP and then everything is Bitcoin. So it's okay.
You know, Aristides, or however you say that name, can you talk about the DDoS attack? Did you talk about it yesterday? No. I talked about it in the video today you're going to see. But moral of the story is don't try to attack Cardano because you're going to lose money. We'll kind of leave it at that. But guys, again, video dropping later today. Make sure you subscribe to the channel, have your notification bell on. And so you can watch the video. 3, and I'll throw a bonus on there. So 4 altcoins that I personally have been adding to my bag with the recent price dip. Again, in bull markets, if you want to keep adding, these are the times to do it. When sentiment is low, we're in a fear, I think, of 30, right? You guys showed it yesterday on stream. Sentiment is shit. Prices are down. But you take a look under the hood. Who is building? What is happening? I've identified 3, 4 of those that you're going to want to put on your radar. And so, yeah, that's all I got. You got anything else? Rocco?
Good.
No? All right. I saw no one did the finger tornado the last 2 days. Shame on both of you.
It was very good.
I am back.
It was very nice.
Tornado is back. Thank you so much for tuning in, guys. Make sure to come back tomorrow for another fire show, as hopefully the fire on my face starts to quell a little bit. We love you guys. Until tomorrow. Peace.
Sin City Crypto. Everybody know we here for entertainment and info. Gonna show you how to get that big dough. So every day stay tapped in for big facts, no capping. With Bitcoin, if you're in, then you win. We divide the pie with no fraction. It's Big Rob, David. I spit the game, but they gave it. Name the coin, it's your favorite. I got dry powder, why save it? To the OGs, new beginners. Special shout out to the well members. Buy a dip, sell winners. Ain't really nothing you can tell sinners. Tune in for the latest new flavors. They gonna teach us mean coins. They polarizing like barbecue chicken pizzas. I laugh with a major grin. Laggers, we trade them in. Baddies, they came to sin. And sinners gon' play to win. Screaming, hola, till my bags are flowing over. Hold ya to the moon and to the solar. Won't I?